Deliver your cattle to El Paso in this lighter version of Great Western Trail El Paso.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Great Western Trail El Paso, game designed by Johannes Krenner and Alexander Pfister and published by Lookout Games.
And hi everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant from Meeple University.
And hey, if you enjoyed this video after watching, like, subscribe and comments, you know what to do. Alright, let's get to the classroom.
In Great Western Trail El Paso, players play the roles of ranchers, driving their cattle from their stations in Texas and Mexico through the landscape and delivering them to the city of El Paso, from where they can be shipped. Players will spend the game upgrading the route by building buildings, by hiring workers, buying cattle, and various other actions, all in the aim of gaining victory points. We'll see all the different ways to gain points as we proceed, but in general anything showing this orange shield represents victory points on offer. The timing of the game is tracked by the stack of orange Simmental cards, which are removed as players make deliveries to El Paso. And when the stack is emptied, the end of the game is triggered. I won't step you through setup, but I'll show you the main board and components once you're done. This is the board, and it will be seeded with 7 neutral buildings, including El Paso, which must be placed here, and 6 others in any order. This board represents a clockwise path which players will travel around throughout the game. Around the board you'll find the various supplies and markets, 4 types of worker card, cowboys, builders, engineers and wilds, 4 different types of upgrade cattle, on the board a stack of Simmental cattle with number based on your player count, and the 2 tile stacks of player buildings. All of the cards and tiles within each of these stacks are identical, and for the buildings they can be flipped to their A sides or their B sides for variety. Above the board are the train cards, and these too can be flipped to one side or the other for variety. There will be shuffled face-down stacks of objective tiles and bonus tiles with a face-up market of 3 for each. Each player begins with an identical deck of cattle cards, 4 grey 1s, 2 green 2s, 2 black 2s and 2 white 2s. These should be shuffled into a face-down deck, with players drawing a starting hand of 4. From the supply, each player also takes 1 of each of the 4 worker cards and places them face up into a worker's tableau. Each player has a player board which is broken up into 3 parts: the auxiliary actions, upgrades and certificates. In the first 2 sections, a number of spaces will be blocked out by these discs, and through the game as you place the discs on the board you'll be upgrading these actions. The certificates are simply a resource which you'll gain or spend by moving on this track. Take your Rancher Meeple, 2 building markers, and then choose a first player and take an amount of coins and exchange tokens based on your position in turn order. Make supplies of the remaining coins and exchange tokens and you're now ready to play. Great Western Trail El Paso is played in turns, starting from the first player and going clockwise around the table. Your turn is resolved in 3 steps, which must be resolved in the following order: move, actions, and draw. The first step is move. On your very first turn, take your rancher and place it on any neutral building tile except for El Paso. On all subsequent turns, you must move your rancher clockwise around the board, a minimum of 1 space and a maximum of 3, or 4 if you've upgraded this space. Movement is along these dotted paths, and when you reach a fork, you choose which side of the fork to take. Only spaces which contain tiles are counted. Empty spaces are skipped. And so as it's laid out here, the red rancher with 3 movement could move 1, or could move 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, or finally 1, 2, 3. Players' ranchers may freely move through or share spaces with each other. As indicated by this stop sign, you cannot continue moving through El Paso without stopping, even if you have excess movement. Your second step is actions, and here you take actions on the building where you finished your movement. If you finish on a darker coloured neutral building, or on a player building marked with your own player marker, and we'll see how to build these later on, then you may resolve each action printed on that tile and separated by a vertical line up to once each in any order. If multiple options are separated by a diagonal slash, then you can take one but not both of those options. And do note, in the first printing, building 2A is misprinted. This is supposed to be a diagonal slash, not a vertical line. On the other hand, if you finish your movement on a player building which does not belong to you, then your only option is to resolve one auxiliary action, which are these smaller actions printed on your player board. You may also choose to resolve an auxiliary action at a neutral building or your own player building, foregoing all other printed actions if that's the best option. Taking your available actions is optional, with the exception of El Paso, where you must take all 3 actions. The third step is draw. Recall that you begin the game with a hand of 4 cattle cards and a tableau of 4 worker cards. Through the course of taking your actions, some of these cards may be discarded, and both types of cards will go to a personal discard pile. At the end of each of your turns, you will draw back to your hand limit, which begins at 4 and can be increased to 5, drawing them from your personal draw deck. If your draw deck is ever empty when you need to draw a card, shuffle your personal discard pile back into a new draw deck. Then continue drawing. By now your draw deck will contain both workers and cattle, but your hand is strictly for cattle. Any time you draw a worker card into your hand, whether it's during this phase of your turn or as part of an action, immediately put that worker back into your tableau and continue drawing until you've replaced it with a cattle card. As your tableau of workers builds up, you should stack matching workers into piles when you gain them. They'll accumulate over multiple turns before you then spend them on the actions that you need. And for the most part, this will be spending builders to build buildings, cowboys to buy new cattle, and engineers to drive the train. However, during your turn, you can also choose to discard a worker to gain its bonus effect printed at the top of the card. And you can do this any number of times and at any opportunity. So for the engineer or the wild, you would discard the worker to gain the printed coins. For a builder, you would pay 2 coins to gain 1 certificate, while the cowboy gives you extra movement. Discard the cowboy during your move step to increase your current limit by 1 for this movement only. Now I'll take you through all the different actions, beginning with the delivery action, which is mandatory in El Paso. When here, immediately gain 5 coins and take 1 Simmental card from this stack, which you add to your personal discard pile. Next, reveal your entire hand of cattle cards and determine your current breeding value. This is equal to the sum of numbers on different cards in your hand. So here I have 2 grey ones and get to count only 1 of them. My other 3 cards are all different, even though these are both 2s, they're different colours, and therefore the breeding value of this hand is 5. Increase this by 1 for any permanent certificate icons you've either collected or unlocked. So by having collected this, 5 becomes 6, and optionally spend certificates from your board to increase this further. So spending 1 would turn that 6 to a 7. You'll now make a delivery. Take a disc from your player board and place it on a trading post with a number equal or lower than the breeding value of your hand. Multiple players may occupy the same space, but you cannot place more than 1 of your own tokens on the same trading station, with the exceptions of spaces 0, 12 and 16, which show this multiple disc icon. After making a placement, gain the benefit under the space, so in this case, gaining 1 certificate. The 4 discs from your auxiliary actions can be placed on any trading station, while the ones from your upgrades show these black corners, meaning they can only be placed onto these higher valued black corner spaces. These are also the ones which earn you victory points, all of which are added up at the end of the game. Some discs have an additional reward or penalty. If I cleared this one, I would also gain 1 coin, while to clear this one, I would also have to spend 3 coins. Remember in the game that a red number is always bad for the player and always represents an increased cost. To finish the action, you always discard the entire hand of cattle cards you revealed. Now we'll look at some other building actions. Actions like this simply give you coins and certificates. An action like this lets you sell cattle for money. Here you're selling a green 2, meaning you discard 1 from your hand to your discard pile to gain the money. Don't redraw yet. You play 1 card short until the redraw at the end of your turn. The cog allows you to take a single auxiliary action. And remember, this is also an option if you can't or don't want to take the other actions on a tile. Take any one of the 4 auxiliary actions whose cog you can see. And so right now these are my only 2 options, but as I upgrade I either make more available or make my existing ones more powerful. The 4 actions are gain 1 coin or 3 coins, gain 1 certificate, get rid of 1 cattle card. To do this, choose 1 cattle card from your hand and remove it from the game entirely, allowing you to prevent your deck from getting choked up with low value cards. And do note, you should keep track of which cards you've gotten rid of because you're only allowed to do this 5 times per game. And finally, there's exchange, either exchange 1 or exchange 2. When you exchange, draw 1 card, again playing and continuing until it's a cattle card, and then discard 1. Exchanges are never combined, so if you've upgraded, draw then discard, then draw then discard again. Through the game, you can also collect exchange tokens, and you can spend these on your turn, again to draw 1, then discard 1. Many locations or bonuses allow you to gain or purchase more of these tokens. This icon lets you hire a worker for the depicted cost. So with this action, you'd hire a worker for free. With this action, you'd hire 1 worker for $5 and could hire a second different one for an additional $8. Choose any available worker from the market, and if you choose a wild, pay an additional 4 coins. Then add that worker straight to its stack in your tableau. This action is build, and it lets you build a new building or upgrade an existing one. For a new building, choose any available building in the market. Pay its coin cost and its builder cost by discarding the required number of builders or wilds from your tableau to your discard pile. Choose any open location on the board, paying its additional cost if applicable. Place the building in that slot and mark it with one of your 2 player markers. Alternatively, you can upgrade a building, and since you have only 2 building markers, once they're both on the board, this action can only be used for upgrading. Choose a new building with a higher cost than one you already have on the board. Pay the difference in coins and the difference in builders and wilds, and replace the old tile for the new one. The old one returns to the market and can be built again. With this action, you can buy a single cattle card from the cattle market. Choose any one available card and pay its cost in coins and by discarding cowboys or wilds from your tableau. Then add your new cattle to your discard pile. Some other actions let you gain cattle cards to your discard pile for free. This action lets you use the train. Choose any one of the 4 train cards and pay its cost in coins and in engineers or wilds. Then take each action on your chosen train card in any order. Train cards are one of the main ways to acquire objective tiles or bonus tiles. For example, with this card, I would get to acquire one of each, always replenishing immediately so that there's a face-up market of 3. Some other buildings let you gain or purchase these tiles. Objective tiles are simply collected face-up, and they offer a way for you to score at the end of the game by collecting the resources printed on it. Bonus tiles also provide endgame points, and usually provide another immediate benefit, with 2 exceptions. The first is the permanent certificate. This will increase the breeding value for all of your future visits to El Paso. And the second is the duplicate tile. For each of these you hold, you could count 1 duplicate card towards your breeding value at each future visit to El Paso. As such, including this permanent certificate, this player would currently have a breeding value of 9. This set with 1 duplicate would count as 5, and this set with 2 duplicates would count as 6. The last type of action is extra movement. When you resolve one of these, you may resolve all the other actions on the tile first, then move again up to that many spaces, and resolve the actions on the tile you move to. Like your standard movement, the range of this movement can be increased by spending cowboys. So a full option for my turn after landing here would be to get rid of a scimitar, do an auxiliary action, move an additional 2 plus 1 for 3 spaces, doing another auxiliary action and selling a grey 1. Be clear that discarding a cowboy enhances existing movement. It does not count as its own movement. I could not move here, resolve these actions, then discard this cowboy and move again to resolve these. You must already be moving to use the cowboy's effect. When the last Simmental is taken from El Paso, the game is almost over. Players will continue taking turns as normal until the next time someone reaches El Paso. Resolve that visit as normal, except that instead of gaining a Simmental, place your rancher on the empty stack. This properly triggers the end of the game. Each other player takes 1 more turn, with anyone who visits El Paso during that turn simply leaving their rancher there. Now count up your final scores. Leftover money is exchanged for points at a rate of 5 to 1. To score your buildings, score the points in the corner for each of your buildings which finishes on the map. For trading posts, score the points under each of your second row discs. Score your cards. Go through your entire deck, hand and discard pile and find any cattle market cards or workers, scoring the points printed in their lower right corners. If you were the one who triggered the end, you also score these 2 points in this category. Score points printed on all of your collected bonus tiles. Finally, score any objective tiles you qualify for. Here, for example, I've collected a blue 3 and a yellow 3, so I would gain these 3 points. You can score each tile only once, so if I had 2 brown 4s and 2 buildings costing 2 or more builders, I would still here gain only a single set of 5 points, and each item you've collected can count only once. So I would need 4 bonus tiles to score both of these. I've collected only 3, so I would get just the 1 set of 4 points. The player with the highest score wins. If tied, whoever has the most leftover money after making exchanges for points breaks the tie. And if still tied, victory is shared.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, maybe you'd like to watch this next one. Have a great day. Bye!